and give an audience a flavor of what you folks have built, what you're seeing in the market, what you see going forward. So if you can have a quick round of introductions and sort of around the topic, if you can talk about how your businesses relate to your customers, your consumers, and just give a flavor of how large your companies are, whatever you can disclose in public in terms of customer sizes or how well funded you are, just so that they get a perspective of the views they're getting from each one of you as you give your comments through the panel. Yeah, you can start from either side. Amarendra, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Amar. I am a comp science grad and I did my MBA from IIM Bangalore. We started Nestaway with all my batchmates, 4 of us, in January 2015. And just to give you a context, Nestaway is India's first managed home rental network, wherein there are owners who give us homes and there are tenants who take homes from us as a full stack service, wherein we help them in discovery, fulfillment, services that leads to agreements, getting homes managed, all of that. As a one-stop solution. Today we host about 10,000 tenants across 4 cities in India, and we have raised about $45 million till date. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amit Agarwal. I'm from NoBroker.com. I'm an engineer from IIT Kanpur and MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. 3 of us, me, Akhil and Saurabh, we started NoBroker.com 2.5 years back. We now add 1 lakh new customers per month. What NoBroker.com does is connect genuine owners and tenants, buyers and sellers directly with each other without any broker in between. So we save brokerage. We save $2.5 million worth of brokerage for genuine customers every month. We have raised $13 million till now. We are Series B funded.
Hi, I'm Rahul Zutshi. I had strategy at Ameyo. We are basically started our business with call center technology, which was to do with how BPOs at that point of time, 2000, I'm talking 10 years back, managed their call center. We used to only provide technology. But 5 to 10 years down the line, we started to, give this solution to enterprises and lately to startups. So what we do is all of these, every enterprise, be it startup, any size, would need to manage their interactions, be it voice, email, social. We provide the technology, the back-end technology that is required to manage those. We have raised $5 million till now. It was bootstrapped till about 2 years back.
Thanks. Vishal.
Hi, my name is Vishal Anand. I'm the Chief Product Officer for Dailyhunt. Dailyhunt is a news and ebooks application. We focus on Indian language content. In terms of users and usage, we're about a monthly active user base is about 26 million users. For news, which is ad-supported business for us, does close to 3 billion page views a month. Books, which we launched 2 years ago, our monthly download numbers have around 2 million downloads each month. We've Sequoia, Matrix, and Omidyar funded. We've raised about 38 million so far.
It's always good to talk after a customer, so thanks for being a customer. My name is Karthik, Director of Emerging Businesses at Akamai Technologies. For those of you who don't know Akamai, we are the world's largest content delivery network. What we help is, we help websites and applications load very quickly. And we do that by having a distributed set of servers across ISPs in every city, in every country. So most of the prominent sites and applications run on Akamai, and almost 30% of the websites, 30% of the internet traffic across the world runs on our platform. We are about $2 billion in revenue, and so not a startup by any measure, but we are just a 15-year-old company. We were a startup a decade back, so a number of experiences to share with all of you as we go further down the lane.
Thanks, Karthik. So the context for all of you, for the audience, clearly a lot of you have raised questions about the legitimacy of the e-commerce models and whether they lose too much money and whether they'll die. And the big question mark has been how do you acquire consumers, customers very cheaply, and how do you retain them? How do you maximize the value of each of those customers that you got? And I think we have a very diverse set of customer experiences here on the stage, and we'll try and get the maximum out of them. And this problem is sort of doubly compounded in a market like India. So my take on it as an investor is customers are very value conscious in India. There are a lot of Me Too's. So you start one company and then you'll see 10 of them mushroom within like 6 months. It takes a hell of a lot of time to build trust with your customers and therefore a great brand and get recognized. And then finally you see that the word of mouth spreads, your cost of acquisition is falling because you built a great product and a great customer base. And then even after that, even in a mature market, it's always very difficult to continue to excite them, retain them in a value-conscious market like India. So in that context, each of you have, in my view at least, have a very interesting proposition, right? So if you take, I'll go after each, with each one of you. If you take a Nestaway, it's a very long-term customer experience. I mean, you've just told somebody to live in one of the houses that you offer. So it's like a 12-month engagement. So in the context I wanted to set was, what is the right kind of mix? And I think Amit proposed that this will be an interesting topic for the audience. What's the right kind of mix of activities you do for brand building versus tactical marketing to acquire customers? It's always a debate for, young consumer companies. So how do you manage that with your product?
Honestly, we haven't done any brand building activities till date. That partly from an insight that, look, as you rightly said, India is a value conscious market. So in Bangalore, we are the only organized player who gets a home rental to a tenant at just 2 months deposit. So I get the trust, the brand. We work really hard to go and get the best deals. We go convince our owners, look, 10 months of deposit is not needed. And I think owners ask that because they think people will go damage the house, people will not pay rent in time, and then have an EMI to serve. So they sort of make their own proxies about it and ask high deposit. When we intervene, we say that we'll offer you a rental default guarantee, which means that if the tenant is staying and is not paying up, Nestaway will make good. And we also offer them a structure and content insurance up to 1 crore, which means that if the house is damaged, that is that doesn't get covered from the 2 months of deposit that you have, Nestaway will make good of the difference. And hence, when we bring the product to the market, it sort of is best in class on its own, and fortunately, it's a need-based product. So in some areas like Koramangala, Indiranagar, where people really want to live, our demand outstrips supply by 10x. So that sort of works for us, and we have been only looking for customers via digital marketing on Facebook and a couple of other sources.
So deeply differentiated product. You don't see copycats coming and trying to imitate what you're doing?
I wouldn't say copycats. I mean, it's a large industry, so a lot of people, I would love if a lot of people try doing such things. Look, at the end of the day, people are familiar with the product. So when they think of us, we tend to train them saying that, look, you are not buying a commodity inventory, you are buying an experience. That sometimes service will go up and down. That's not the point. The point is that the day you vacate my house, I will give you your security deposit refunded after standard predictable deduction. So it's about the processes. And that, I think, is working out in our advantage, wherein some of those processes, even if you attempt to do just because who you are, because it's most like a credit service where you realize the value almost at the end, people tend to gravitate towards us than some of our competitors.
Just curious, your suppliers are willing to pay a premium by reducing the deposit in some sense?
No, so essentially we create significant leverage. So just to give you a math, a 3-bedroom mid-market house in Bangalore rents at about 24,000 rupees. We tell the owner, go furnish it about 1.5 lakhs. When we have partner vendors, it's about putting cots, sofas, dining table, blah, blah, blah. Basically make the house ready to move in with a completely furnished kitchen. And we sort of rent sub-units, not the entire unit. And we have figured that out. The sweet spot is about 8,000 rupees a month. So 8 into 6 becomes 48,000 rupees. So there's from 24, there's a leverage of 24 extra, 100% leverage. And the only catch is that we don't give occupancy guarantee to the owner. It's pretty much Airbnb of long-term rentals. So, you should have a window of 12 to 24 months and you will make more money with us, with all the protections that comes with working with a standardized player.
So Amit, solve a similar need. People want to rent a house, they come to you or maybe buy a house. But there is no sort of long-term hook where they're staying with you. So it's transactional. So that same question, what are the challenges of seeing this as a transactional platform where the customer then leaves and probably doesn't come back for years? And you do have a hook that if they like the experience, they'll probably use you again. But how do you balance out tactical advertising to grab a customer versus long-term brand building and building faith, etc.?
See, so as you said, what is most important on our platform is that once a customer comes, he has such a good experience, right from searching to rental agreement, which we now do online for him with home delivery, that he reserves this in his mind, that this space or this problem, which is rental or buying, selling, something that is far more convenient and far more cost saving for me, and hence I will always do it with no broker. So one is that. Second thing, which is basically more challenging, is in which we focus a lot, is how do you make sure that your cost of acquisition is low, and what are the hacks that you can think about in terms of making it low. So one is when you are acquiring customer. See, we recently raised Series B. Now the easy thing to do is you basically do a plethora of Airtel activities in which you do radio and hoardings and so on. And they will give you some bit of upside in terms of customer acquisition. But perhaps the right mix is in terms of the right mix of ATL and BTL, where you actually go to the society houses and approach the actual customer who is going to buy your product or use your product. So basically, right measurement systems to know the different sources which you are using to acquire customers, how they are yielding result, not doing too much of ATL activities or BTL activities too soon in too many cities, do it step by step and then understand. Second is a hack. Can you find some hack which is low cost of acquisition and which can scale up also? So one of the hack which we have found is that if you see in Bangalore in any of the houses, you would see that many of the owners, they put a to-let board in front of their house, which basically says that I don't want to give the house to a broker, but if you are passing by and you are interested in my house, then why don't you come over and we'll talk. So we discovered that these are our customer segments whom we want to acquire. But why do a radio advertisement to acquire these customers? How can we reach these customers faster, call them and convert them and bring them to our platform? And we are very, very wary about physical people, hiring physical people and going on floor on the street, because that really pushes our unit economics. So we said that why don't we crowdsource it? So what we have done is we said now in our app, every person in Bangalore, if you are, and you should try, if you are going around and if you see any to-let board, you just need to click a photo, upload it in our app, and we'll pay you 100 rupees on the conversion. We'll just call that customer and we'll take the details. It takes 2 minutes for us to take the details of the house. That customer will get registered. And so the cost of acquisition for us is just 100 rupees for a customer. So that's great for us. And now that's giving us almost 1/3 of our properties.
Very interesting. Nice hack. Rahul, very different business from all these consumer businesses. You guys also cater to a cross-border client base. Insights from what you've learned on how to reduce customer acquisition, how do you retain them? What are the challenges in your business?
So I'll talk about two businesses. So we pivoted our business with enterprise software. That was one-time investment, and people integrate with a lot of systems to create process flows, and that usually used to create a lot of stickiness with the customer to be there. Now we have started to offer we have launched 3 cloud products. It is completely different out there. You need to measure your customer acquisition costs, which can be, of course, through a lot of channels, a lot of web insights. But in terms of retention, there are 2 ways to it. One is, again, whenever these startups, enterprises create process flows in this, try to integrate, try to be a part of the system as much as possible. Second is, focus on customer success. You should have a dedicated customer success team as early as possible before you have a customer acquisition team. That's what I think.
Thanks. Vishal, in your businesses, I don't know the entire history, but Newshunt, which is now Dailyhunt, came out of, I think, Versailles. And you've been a part of it for a long time now. You obviously have a massive customer base. Was the product design itself thought of as it takes care of acquisition, takes care of retention, let's build this? It feels like that, right? So do you have the same problems that these gentlemen have, or is it all taken care of? You just go and build engagement in such a way that everything becomes word of mouth, or am I simplifying it too much?
You are simplifying it a bit too much. Our growth still continues to be very word of mouth. We've done very little marketing. We do some digital marketing now, but our growth fundamentally has been very word of mouth. Various stages we've had different challenges, and we've used various tools to. We had partners promote us, we've had users promote us. We've done a few things like that. But yeah, it's.
So is it? One, it's engaging, right? If they like what you're delivering every morning, it's like the newspaper.
Yeah.
So you come back to it every morning and you say, what's news?
Yeah.
The second is, but you've also added other content around it. So where did those insights come from? How did the product expand? So maybe some of that journey will be useful for the audience to hear.
Sure. So in terms of the product, and the reason we renamed it to Dailyhunt as well, we started off with news, which was daily usage product.
Correct.
And we sort of started realizing that, so we've used language as a pivot. The whole premise sort of works that English literacy in the country is only 10%, and no matter how you slice and dice the data, after a while you'll sort of hit the limits of the market. And even in terms of our own content consumption, we see, even though currently the internet population in the country is mostly English, the usage that we see is only 5% of the content consumption that happens on our app happens in English. So we started getting signals from our users in terms of feedback, direct or indirect, that they were interested in other forms of content. And the way the product started to evolve naturally, organically, was we wanted news to be the sort of the hook that gets the user in every day. It's one of those daily usage apps. But if you could have sort of related products around it, which could supplement the product and give us additional sources of revenue, that's how we'd grow. So we launched books turned into books, magazines, comics. We launched education about a couple months back. So we are expanding it into additional verticals where we think it makes logical sense. Where so the way we look at it is large market size. If it's fragmented, even better. Books is a perfect example of that. And language is a big hook where there is an opportunity that exists. So
your once upon a time core product became your marketing engine in some sense.
Yeah, correct.
Very interesting. So Karthik, as the unsung hero behind some of these guys and a lot more consumer businesses, there's obviously the end customer experience. He doesn't know Akamai is serving this, right? He doesn't care. But if it breaks and if the network's off, he's cursing somebody. And then your customer is going to be cursing you. So just some experiences from that, and how do you see yourselves in these journeys for end customers?
Usually our pitch is, no customer will curse you if you use Akamai.
Okay. So you have your punchline already.
Yeah, so I think the challenge for us as a business, and I'll kind of talk about how we define customer experience, right? I think the fundamental challenge for our business is we are a concept selling company in the sense that we are not a well-known commodity, or we don't operate in a well-known space. Let's say you are a startup and you are trying to build your own app or a site. Initially you do it without a content delivery network or Akamai. You kind of hit scale, and then when you hit scale and when you start executing campaigns and you start driving a lot of users to your site or app, that's when your performance starts dropping. Or you are driving investments, and if it's a billion-day campaign, or it's a peak season for you, and when your customers are not able to transact on you, they are not going to come back to you. So those are value props that our customers learn after committing a few mistakes. And the challenge for us is to go educate that to the spaces we operate in. So we are very strong, as a B2B company, we have a strong outbound lead gen engine. I think we don't spend a lot of marketing dollars as you would expect a large company to do. We spend less than 3% of our revenues in marketing. Most of our go-to-market activity is driven by people and hiring those highly qualified people to drive the business. So I think in a lot of ways we are unique, and I think over the years we've expanded a lot in the Asian markets, and we've gone to places where typically there is no opportunity, but we've invested in our people to expand that business. And the second part of the question is, how do we define customer experience? I think the learning that we've had working with startups, a lot of them in the table, is business model innovation is over the years is easy to copy. So if you have the same business model, if you have the same offering, what is going to differentiate you is the customer experience, and offering a very, very high performing, highly usable site or an app today is a differentiator. I think today there was news about Amazon overtaking Snapdeal in India. I think obviously they pumped billions of dollars, they've competed on price, but I would argue that the way they look at user experience is phenomenal, and there is a lot for us to learn with user experience. And our pitch there is, if you're able to provide performance to your site, typically less than 3 seconds or 4 seconds or lesser, and if a customer is able to access your site or app, irrespective of any device they're coming from, the same level of performance from an Android device or an iPhone device on a 3G network or a 2G network, those in the longer run are differentiators. If you're able to give that experience, the customer is going to come to you and you're going to get that repeat transaction, and that's why you scale the business. So we've done a number of studies on that, and it's exciting to see that getting implemented in the Indian market, and we are in a learning journey with our customers on that.
Thanks for that. So guys, all of you, at least the consumer ones here on stage, have raised significant funding. So obviously somebody loves you, right? The investors think you're building some great new models. You're probably more differentiated than some of the other models. So at one level, there's I'm guessing a lot of cash in the bank. On the other hand, there's probably a lot of, tense board discussions nowadays on how to spend that cash. So I know, Amit, you gave a cute little hack, but broadly, when you think about the problem of customer acquisition and retention, can you guys share some tidbits from what successes you've had in keeping those costs low? And now there's even more pressure to keep them very low and have high LTV to CAC ratios. So how do you demonstrate that? Any ideas which the audience can learn from each one of your different models? How are you guys sort of, buttoning down on costs and making sure that the growth doesn't stop? That's always the challenge, right? People want you to grow but don't want you to spend anymore. So in the same order, or anybody who wants to go first, yeah.
Right. So as far as our business go, we have figured that out that if a customer stays with us for at least 6 months, as we stand today, we recover our cost of acquisition. So, and if he leaves earlier than that, you lose money, and that sort of overall effects. And in the early stages, there are some product confusions, there are some service confusions, so people leave. So we have done it in two ways. I guess we are the first company in the world who offer a 3-day free lookup for a consumer. So if you move into any one of our houses, and of course you could check it before and then, but we don't believe that you could see everything, right? So the trust is that if you move in and in the first 3 days something goes wrong, we will refund you all your money. It's not credit with us, pretty much like the other e-commerce businesses, but it's cash out straight away. But if you stay beyond 3 and anywhere before 6 months, if you're living anywhere between after 3 to before 6 months, we recover our CAC. So the lock-in is for 6 months on an 11-month rental contract, and if you're leaving before that, you pay us a month rent, which is roughly slightly more than the CAC. So
that's very, very attractive ratio for a consumer business, I would think.
Yeah. I guess when we started, we didn't want to get into the transactional e-commerce business. I'm talking about January 2015, because even I have shopped on all e-commerce sites. This entire loyalty thing isn't natural, because yeah, it's just not natural. And then hence we wanted to get into a model wherein the loyalty is built into the model and it's not at the consumer's behest, So, insurance businesses, banking businesses, annuity businesses basically. And, we thought that in general, consumers don't ask for discounts and other distortions in an annuity-based business model because they think that because the tenure of the relationship is so long that the business will definitely extract its pound of flesh. It's just a matter of time. So they don't sort of are naturally aggressive to do that, and with that insight we started and it played out. And then we have this trust in the market that this is not a Ponzi scheme where you get in and if you get out they take money out. So the free lookup period plus the lock-in breakage charges is a savior today. So we don't make losses on any customer we acquire. We may not make money. In fact, we make money on people who leave us 6 months earlier. So that's what kind of works out for us.
Thanks. Amit?
So in our case, see the consumer internet businesses, it takes time to turn profitable. But I think the thing which has worked well for us till now is that from day one, we have focused on not building bad habits, not for ourselves, not for customers. So give you an example, our unit economics where we are trying to save brokerage for customers doesn't allow us to spend money sending a photographer and click photos because nobody will pay for it. So what we have done from the day one is we said, let others do it. We'll not copy them. We'll ask for WhatsApping the photo. We do that and it has worked very well for us. So at this stage where we are world's largest non-brokerage ecosystem with 10 lakh customers, we do not have any bad habits which we can't support. Our unit economics is rock solid. So the way in which, but we also need to acquire more customers, expand to more cities, as well as also look at profitability. So the way in which we have done it mentally in our mind is to split into two portions. One is the cities that we are already existing, which is 4 cities, Bombay, Pune, Bangalore, Chennai. And then the new cities that we need to enter into and get more customers. So the first 4 cities, we have started charging tenants and we are making revenue. Here our goal is to basically keep the unit economics focus very tight and have a path of turning profitable in say 12 to 18 months. So we know that we have a playbook which makes us profitable in a city given these type of unit economics. And then there is a separate section which we say, okay, now we go to the new cities using the same playbook, having some innovations, but keep it same. So which basically gives us the advantage of growing customers as well as making sure that we are right on the unit economics and on a path towards profitability. So what will happen is we will have more customers. Slowly our cities will become profitable. The new cities will take more time, but we are comfortable.
Rahul, yours by definition is a business where
We will try out some of these newer platforms where they are targeting Indian audience and they're in desperate need for an app like us. So we'll work and we'll do something there, and that's how we've sort of grown. Like, so our journey started with Nokia phones, and nobody was giving them any love, and they sort of continued forward. And when they've changed phones, they've sort of reinstalled News Hunt, same as for iPhone. So
it's great.